I had like a mentor to help me through it. And so that hawk's eye view really helped me be kind of a shark with this deal. So the appraisal value was for 650. I did a water test. The water came back and it needed like $20,000 worth of well work. So I ended up getting the property for 515. So I talked to them down about 115,000.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. That's awesome.
Yeah, the cash offer really is what made that possible. And we flipped like 3 homes prior to this to stock up to make sure that we could do that.
Hey, welcome to Uncommon State of Mind, where we debate different ways to leverage your next investment to create time freedom, legacy impact, and generational wealth, so you can live that uncommon life. But in order to do that, you must be uncommon. My name is Joey, aka Mr. J Mays.
Hey, and I'm Adumla Dowdu, also known as AD the Fly Realtor.
Awesome. So today we have a special guest with us, and I'm gonna go ahead and let AD hit us with the intro.
All right, guys, we got someone I'm very excited to talk to today, Mariah Dodson. I first found out about her from Instagram, but let me run through a little bit about her. Mariah Dodson is a visionary leader and the driving force behind the development of a 40-acre wellness ranch and family compound in Southern California. As the president of Evolution of Healing, Mariah is dedicated to creating a sanctuary that honors her ancestors and serves her community. Her mission is to raise the culture and change the game, fostering a space where her tribe can thrive and reconnect with their roots. Through her unwavering commitment, Mariah exemplifies the power of legacy building and community empowerment. Thank you, Mariah. Thanks for joining us today.
Woo, okay. I love that. You got me hyped. I got to have a strong follow through now.
Yeah, you got to get you excited. How's it going?
I love it. It's going great. It's going great. It's Friday and we feel like we've lived an entire month this week, just with all the management that we have to do, but grateful.
Right. So in regards to your bio there, can you just give us a little background, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself? Because like I said, I know who you are because I follow you, been a fan for a little while, but just so the regular person watching this can get an idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, thank you guys so much. I'm super excited to be here with you. And I always say like the journey of 1,000 steps starts with, just a couple of beginning kicks off the cliff. And when I was getting started and figure out what I wanted to do as an entrepreneur, I had started at Virginia State University, which is a HBCU, and then quickly learned that college was not necessarily going to be the route which helped me accomplish my goals from a super high level perspective. So I ended up joining the military, which was my jumping off the cliff, which absolutely put me in a tactical phase of execution in life of just like, hey, I have to figure out how to problem solve at a really high level and do that with legacy in mind. It's been an incredible journey since getting out of the military 7 years ago, jumping into real estate, starting a couple of businesses, and just learning a lot of significant lessons in life very fast.
Yeah. So what branch of military was that?
U.S. Army.
Okay, that's what's up. Thank you for your service, first of all.
Thank you.
So you mentioned how being in the military helped you learn how to think tactically. Was there a specific defining moment that made you realize what direction you wanted to take your life in?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. While I was in the military, I also actually worked for the sheriff's department. Okay. And there was a police shooting that happened. And just seeing the response from the sheriff's department on when that happened, it really just put in perspective that it is an absolute gang. It is an absolute, similar to the military. It is a unit, and they build camaraderie behind their values. They build camaraderie behind alignment in their beliefs and what they want to see their future look like. And so it was really that defining moment of me seeing how the entire sheriff's department responded to the police shooting, which was very sad, rest in peace to the police life was taken. But the after effects of that experience really just put me on a path to understand I need to be careful of what battle I choose to fight. And what side I select to be on. And so just being in that environment with all these sheriffs just, kind of woke me up to say okay, Now when I'm going back to my Army unit, I'm like, okay, I love these people. It's all camaraderie based upon, we have shared values. However, what are we fighting for? And that was what just started echoing in my brain for like a year after that, before significantly taking the leap and jumping 100% into entrepreneurship.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hearing your story, it's interesting because like I've realized like for Black people who live in America, I feel like almost every Black person kind of has this double consciousness where it's like you're deeply ingrained in your like Black roots or, or like loving Black people or Black stuff or whatever that may be. But then like we live in a world that's not necessarily for us. So like, was there any of that going on where you kind of felt like, okay, like I'm here with like the military, with the police department, but then, what they're about doesn't necessarily align with what I'm about, things like that?
100%. I appreciate you, asking that follow-up question, just because while in the military, all of the higher ups were Caucasian, right? And there was a lot of hoops that we had to jump through, being a minority, being a woman, being a Hispanic, to become a lieutenant, to become captain, right? So that's going to be like a 12-year journey to even take that pursuit. But then again, in the sheriff's department, just the basics of how they speak of us, like the language that they use when describing our people is so real. I just remember being in environments where they're just like celebrating how many knees they've broken, with their wands, celebrating how many times they shot someone. Like it was profound, right? And so it was a culture, like it was a real culture, and it was a huge separation of them not understanding the trauma that has taken place for 400 years to even have a large majority of our people having to find different ways of survival, right? Because that's all it is, having to find different ways to problem solve through anxiety, through abuse, all different things. But just to know that that's what we're up against is profound. So.
See, I see.
Okay. That's crazy. It's interesting to dissect for sure. So after that, you said, you know what, I'm going to take this leap into entrepreneurship. And what was it that caused you to, first say like, this is what I want to do? And then second, why did you go down this route as far as what you're doing currently right now with Ranch?
Yeah. The first experience is I was flipping a mobile home in California City, which is a podunk, sweet little town in Southern California. The mobile home was a hoarder's house, right? So we're talking about like really getting nitty gritty with emptying, cleaning it out. There being needles all over the floor, having to hire a hazmat team just to come in and remove needles from the carpet. It was awful. It was awful. And when we went into the city to get permits, they actually were permitting for cannabis at the same time. And so we've taken a major evolution journey when it comes to real estate, when it comes to our different businesses that we operate in. But when we went to go get our permit, the meeting was about cannabis. We ended up meeting at least 3 significant developers that changed the course of my life in that meeting. And from that meeting, I dove all the way in. I started just being an admin assistant to a couple of developers in the area who were getting permits and just absorbing all of that knowledge for 6 months for free. Just literally doing whatever they asked. Hey, we're doing marketing today. We're doing PR today. We're doing permitting. We're doing walkthroughs with the building department. And we're doing a planning session with the architect or engineer, whatever. And just fell in love with the entire development process and just, again, learned a lot from those developers. Ended up scoring a couple of a lot of cannabis license, and flipping those. And then so after that exciting run, figuring out like, okay, now that we've had this success, what can we do that's meaningful? Like where are we in life right now? And what do our problems look like? Like, how can we solve them? And I have a 9-year-old son. I have a mother that I take care of. I have a grandmother who's like my number one teammate. So it was like, I have a different set of problems than the average 30-year-old woman. Like I have a tribe I have to take care of. And I did spend some time feeling sorry for myself about that, right? Like, God damn. But at the end of that road, I'm looking at all the blessings that, God has just given to us in our life, and was like, okay, I'm going to take a leap and I'm going to buy some land and I'm going to attempt to build a family compound where my grandma can live, my son can grow, and my mom can have her own place too. So
I like that. Wow.
Yeah.
So you said a few things in there that caught my attention. Man, I don't know where to start. First of all, you mentioned to the extent of, taking care of your mom, your son, and your grandma. Yeah, I know for myself, like I have a wife and two sons, so, different situation, but, still taking care of people. I do know how
Right.
that, like, I wouldn't say I was misguided before, but it definitely helped me focus even more so. So yeah, I
Right.
definitely see how that can make you rise to the occasion. So that's
Right.
kudos to you, for stepping up to the challenge. But then also I do like how once you got active, you fell into an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like you didn't know that there was going to be anything going on about cannabis, to my understanding.
Yeah, no idea. And when I actually got into the meeting, I'm looking at my partner at the time and I'm like, you're crazy. We can't do anything in cannabis. We're just girls. Like, there's no way.
No, that's cool. So then so pretty much at that point, you said that's what that changed the trajectory. So like, did you ever have any
100%.
kind of interest prior to like operating in cannabis or working in cannabis or with cannabis?
I've always pursued real estate, right? So
Mm,
to be honest, I failed my real estate license 3 times
okay.
while I was flipping this mobile home, right? So like literally the day we went to go get the permits is the day they had that cannabis meeting. That is the day that it was like, okay, we're going to now, I failed my test 3 times. I need something. I need a win, right? Like I'm in that place at 24 where I'm like, I need a win in my life right now. So we just jumped into cannabis, and because it was so hot, I mean, we exploded. And we consulted, I've gotten over 50 plus licenses that do include like the planning process with the, planning department, the building department. It's the business plan, the operational plan. So we ran down that road, probably we're still there, but we ran down it really hard for a year. And then it tied so strongly into everything real estate. Everything with cannabis is tied to real estate. It is. It's like the key. So those worlds just started to like
Okay,
weave
cool.
together.
Yeah. And then you said you had a partner at the time. Are you still partners with them?
So we've gone through, some really great marriages and we've gone through some divorces. We've gone through some separations, but no, that was back in 2018 and we killed it. I feel like we did what we needed to do. We ended up getting 50 plus licenses with our consulting agency. And when that wave of the industry passed, we closed down that operation.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I know that it definitely came to like a stop. I was talking to a few like cannabis operators and they're like, yeah, the industry has changed. I mean, I'm guessing because so much more regulation has come into that industry that has kind of like slowed that business down pretty much. And if you weren't already having, all the different like licenses that you already have, it could pretty much like kill your drive to start it like right now.
Oh, 100%. And just looking at the government really does ruin a lot of things that they touch. Figured out a way to overregulate this industry, 12 different license types for one plant. Like you have cultivation, distribution, retail, transportation, manufacturing, volatile. So they figured out a way to really disrupt the natural flow of this industry. And then also the taxes are unrealistic to operate within.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So then you're segueing into real estate and grabbing that compound. So, from what you've learned from those developers, what exactly did you pick up that gave you the knowledge to then go ahead and grab this compound and start your entrepreneur journey?
So the second developer that we volunteered for ended up being like my biggest client. They purchased a 100-acre cannabis farm, right? And so we were a part of the entire phase development of getting the shipping containers plotted down, building out those containers into little grow houses, the water wells, the setback from the streets. We did all of it, right? And so when that phase was just phase one that I was in charge of, when phase one concluded, life put me on another path. We had some challenges, couple break-ins at our cannabis store, and kind of just like exploring, like there has to be something else. Like I cannot keep giving 150% and moving 10 feet, you know?
right.
And so seeing those developers and seeing kind of how they problem solve just put me on the trajectory to think like, okay, this could be possible. So after working with the developers on the 100-acre cannabis park, we got it to phase one. I ended up becoming the planning commissioner in that city.
That's
So I was
awesome.
planning commissioner, vice chair. At the time, I had no idea why I did that, what I was doing, but I learned so much being a planning commissioner. They put you through a master's degree course on city planning, developing new zoning regulations. We built a tiny home district layout. We built an updated to the general plan. So it was like a master class of like, you got this shit,
Yeah,
like you
right.
can plan and execute. You see the back end of how all this politics works. So you're seeing this for a reason. So when the time comes, you know how to play the game. And so I did that for a year. And then, to be honest with you, my mom did serve a life sentence. And so when she did get freed, I had a window of time where I was like, holy shit, I have to find a space where we can survive. Like, I can't be in an apartment with this little family. I'll go nuts. And when literally, and when I tell you that's just really the magic of how God works is the time that she was released, the pressure was on, right? Because we're all in a 2 little bedroom tiny apartment, 4 people, and a woman who just served a life sentence. So it's really intense, very intense. So I looked on the MLS every single day. And I was looking for a home in the city. And my pops kept telling me, like, come on, Mariah, you can't build legacy there. Like, you're going to need to wise up. You're going to have to find some place with some land. And I remember like crying on the phone with him saying like, Dad, I'm just a girl. Like, what am I going to do with land? Like, seriously, who's going to help me? Like, he's like, just, you got to just stay the course. Trust the process, trust the process. And I was refreshing on the MLS, like sobbing, right? Because it's probably been like 3 weeks of us living in this environment. And all of a sudden on the MLS pops up this 40-acre ranch in Rosamond, California. I
Wow.
call the realtor immediately and she's just like, hey, I haven't even put pictures up. Chill out. Like, let me load the pictures up. And she's like, if you still like it, you can come see it tomorrow. She uploaded the pictures. I called her. I was like, I want to come see it tomorrow. Went to go see it the very next day and put a cash offer that day. Cause it was like immediately when I saw it, it was like a godsend. It was just the most amazing thing. We had a warehouse. We had a garden. We had a tiny little, mobile, triple wide mobile home, but it was like 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. And it was like, okay, this is something we could work with.
That's awesome.
So just to be clear, so when you purchased the land, it was already possible to live on the land.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually purchased this from Master Sergeant Harsha, a 25-year Air Force veteran. And he really invested into this land. So when we got it, it was just an incredible inheritance, honestly.
Okay, cool. And then do you mind if we touch on how much the acquisition was?
Yes. So the valuation of the property was for $650,000. When I got it, I did have it's one of my first real estate transactions. So I did have a partner. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway as my agency. And so I had like a mentor to help me through it. And so that hawk's eye view really helped me be kind of a shark with this deal. So the appraisal value was for 650. I did a water test. The water came back and it needed like $20,000 worth of well work. So I ended up getting the property for 515. So I talked to them down about 115,000.
Okay, cool. That's what's up.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciation and
the
plan.
cash offer really is what made that possible. And we flipped like 3 homes prior to this to stock up to make sure that we could do that.
That was going to be my next question. How did you fund it? Okay, so I like that. So off of the flipping, you were able to acquire the funds to now, move that energy towards the land
Amen.
that you are now doing other things with.
Yeah, yes. We had sold one of our cannabis businesses and then started flipping homes. Me and my grandma actually teamed up and we got real nasty with it. Like we were getting, we were getting auction houses for like 5,000 and flipping them for 70. It only happened 3 times, but it's like those little portals of opportunity that you seize
Yeah,
that really do create that energy to be like, okay, now I have this ball of energy that I can pour into something else.
Exactly. I like that a lot.
that's awesome. So, quick question. So, give us a rundown of all the things that you have to do on the ranch on the day-to-day.
Before I do that, I need to tell you all that I did crash out in this ranch for the first year.
Yeah.
It was so much that I had to do that I chose to do nothing. And I spent a lot of time crying. And I spent a lot of time crying. But just this year, I decided to, again, suck it up and look at this as a, a great opportunity and a privilege, and to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Every single day, of course, we feed the animals. We have 2 goats and 3 dogs. So taking care of them in that way. Every single day, I try to water the trees. We inherited, like 50 different species trees from the Harshas, who we bought the property from, and they're gorgeous trees. But we're out here in the desert, so they're a lot of work. If I ever talk to her again, I'm gonna ask her what was she thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so water well maintenance is a whole thing. Like every single day I have to just check the waters. I'll backfill them, upload the carbon filters, add salt, add chlorine to the chlorinator. By the grace of God, we've been able to find reliable handymen. So every single day I am managing the work, right? I'm at Home Depot every day doing something, buying some type of material, screw, nail, electrical cord, something, and then just managing the work here, really.
Okay. So then, wow, that's a lot. Have you ever thought about maybe hiring somebody to manage that for you?
That is like the prayer, right? My grandmother and uncle have been building an event venue on the back quadrant. And when we are able to develop a cash flowing mechanism on this ranch, then absolutely I am going to put a budget together to just have a hired help. Hopefully he'll be able to pull an RV or live in one of these tiny houses here. Like that would be the dream, right? To have somebody just help maintain the land, maintain the water well, work on maintenance. Yeah.
Right.
Give you some of your
Right. So another question that I had is, so you talked a little bit about, having some tiny homes on the property, even an event space on the property. What are all of the money-making activities that could happen on the property, or you're planning to have happen on that property?
Yeah, I really love that question. And I always, I'm inspired by it, right? Because I don't get asked that. Like you would think like, hey, there's people who ask you like, hey, what's your ideas? And there's really not anyone. We're very secluded out here. So I really always appreciate that question. Right now, the main mechanism for sure is just sustainability of a legacy. And I think there's a multi-layer strategy that goes into that. Like we're creating our own traditions, we're creating our own housing, we're appreciating the value year over year with the developments that we're adding, but as well as just the natural appreciation. The event venue is absolutely one of our main mechanisms right now. We've seen actually an inflow of people wanting to do retreats and family reunions and pulling up their RVs. So it's like turning into its whole little thing. One of my biggest dreams is tiny homes. Like I would love to really find a partner and then to develop out one by one, if need be, tiny homes, and offer affordable housing to amazing people, veterans here in Southern California.
Right.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Other than that, we just got an ATV, so we're going to throw that on the website and market test to see if we can do some ATV rental. I have had some people come to us about solar. We've also thought about just leasing space for people to park their RVs and shipping containers.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Right.
We're trying to think about what we got, y'all. Let's brainstorm together.
That's cool. Highest and best use, right?
Right.
Yes, highest
Right.
and best use.
What's up? So I
I
heard you
love it.
mention legacy. So like how would you want your ranch and what you're building with this ranch, how would you want that to affect your legacy? And then also what kind of message do you want this to send to your past generations if you were able to, speak to them, or if they could see what you're doing now?
Do not sell the land. There's some statistics out there that say like over 100 years ago, we owned more land than we own today. And corporations, are buying up 50,000 acres at a time of land. The main message would be like, do not sell the land. There's so much value in the land, especially here in America. Thinking like America should just be almost like our home foundation for us to be able to build a portfolio to then leverage in other countries, like then go ham in like Ghana. Like, let me go see. I saw someone just buy 300 acres in Ghana, go to Zanzibar. Let's go to Europe, whatever. Legacy is definitely one of the most important things just because my grandma is my best friend. Like, that's wild, but she really is. She's just been my rider my whole life and always been there for me to push me and motivate me. And so seeing and knowing her story and knowing where she's come from as a Black woman in this country, the struggles that she's had to face raising 3 sons, but 3 amazing men, who've had to also go through hardship in this country, and really being connected to her mission and her purpose and being able to be an example and a ripple effect of her own legacy, right? And so I think really being connected to that struggle, that story, has helped shape my mind to know that we really have the opportunity to become our ancestors' wildest dream, and we more than owe them for the sacrifices that they made. And I see so many people focused on the wrong things and spending so much time in leisure and distraction that gives me enough will to know that, like, this journey is sacred, right? Like, and we need to cherish it in that way. Like, if we have the knowledge and the consciousness to build and to fight the good fight, then you got to give it all you got. And we're going to do that through activism of buying land and developing it out.
I like that.
That's awesome.
I like that. And you know what else I like? I like that, your activism, it takes a capitalist approach. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times our activists think it's okay to not know a way to bring in money. You know what I mean? But like without that money, without the funding of things, it's nothing will last. You know what I mean? So it's like the activity you take in your capitalism and buying land, buying assets, coming up with cash flowing opportunities, that's really going to help in the long run. You know what I mean? Because there's other ways that you can show that you're an activist, but really building a fortress, a financial fortress for yourself and your family will allow you to do more the more and more you go. So I think that's really
100%. That fortress is the key. It's the right infrastructure. And for too long, we've seen us fight the good fight without the right infrastructure to sustain it.
Right.
And so now that we have access to all of these tools, like, we are literally having a conversation on a phone and seeing each other's faces miles away from each other. Like, we have so much access to share information, to problem solve collectively, where we should be able to multiply faster too.
Exactly. I like that.
Agreed.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, a common theme in your story, or at least what we've heard in your building time, or like the time where you were learning, you have a lot of what I call skill stacking. You know what I mean? Where like you learned how to do something and then you combined it with something else you learned how to do. And then because of that, you now became this unique person who has skills from 2 different, 3 different, or 4 different, avenues. So my question is, like, while that was happening, did you realize it was happening and try to help like mold that together? Or did it kind of just fall into place because you put yourself out there because of your activity?
Oh no, 100%. I always tell everyone experience is so much better than sitting in a classroom. Like, if I could be a testimony of that, habit stacking, skill stacking is like liquid gold. It really is. It's the secret sauce. I had no idea it was happening when it was happening, right? People would always be like, stay focused, stay focused. And it would be confusing for me because I'm like, but I'm learning so much and I have no idea when I'm going to use this knowledge. But it seems important. Like, it seems important to learn about building and development. It seems important to learn about the medical benefits of the cannabis plant. Like, all of this information and downloads, there really will find value in them. And so I always say that to anybody, like, if you really are passionate about something, call up a business in your area and ask them if you can volunteer once a week. Like, find someone doing what you're doing and say, like, hey, I got maybe 2 hours out of the week, but I'd love to just, even if you want to process through some things, I came up with some chat GPT questions. I'd love to just help you with social media, simple things. Like, that experience is going to take you so much further. And then the more you build trust with those relationships, the more responsibility you'll get. And with more responsibility comes more blessings, for sure.
Exactly. Cool.
A question for you, like, is there any like specific teachings or any specific authors that you follow, or because you talked a little bit about habit stacking, or any books that you felt really took you to the next level as far as your entrepreneurial journey?
I'm a very metaphysical person, so I like The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel.
That's a good one.
It's, you know, I think a lot of my experiences really were tactical. Being in the Army, working for the sheriff's department, my dad's a college football coach. So life gave me a lot of those like nitty gritty. This is how you work, this is how you work hard. This is how you communicate. But the mystical world is what really helped me weave all those things together. Like you were saying before, is like, how did those worlds even come together? It's like the mystical, spiritual, higher level of consciousness, I'm here to serve a purpose, is really what started to connect all the puzzle pieces together. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is always a great book. What I Know for Sure, Oprah Winfrey. Think and Grow Rich is, just like those ABCs. Those are those are golden.
OGs,
those are golden.
Yeah.
The OGs.
Right. Cool. So man, another thing I was thinking about was how you have so much respect for your grandmother, like your mother, previous generations. And this is something I've like tampered with a lot in my head where like, I don't know if you watch stuff like Game of Thrones or like stuff from like previous times or like years ago. I've always noticed that they have such a high focus on their family name and the legacy they're leaving for their family. And I see that consistent with yourself, you know what I mean? And I think that's really cool because one thing I think for a lot of Black people or minorities in general is that if we have more respect for the people who came before us, if we had more respect for our family, we wouldn't let our last name go out like that. You know what I mean? So did it just happen for you naturally where you were like, no, like I need to be the one for my family to put us on? Or did I don't know, did you have conversation with your dad that made you realize, or what point was it that you really knew that you had to take the reins in that regard?
Again, I have run from it, so I always make sure, like, just to keep balance in it. It's like there was a large amount of time where I kept running from this. It's like, no, this doesn't even make sense. Why would I do that? But my grandma is the oldest girl of 11 grandchildren. And tomorrow's her mother's 102nd birthday. And so she raised that entire family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just seeing how she moves, right? Like, I would always just ask her questions of like, what are our culture? What is our traditions? Like, why don't we get together anymore? She's like, because it's all on me. Like, I have to do everything. I have to get the family together. I have to host the barbecue. I have to cook. I have to clean up. She's like, that's a lot of responsibility. And I'm obsessed with history. So I know that it has been programmed into us to not trust each other and to start to function in silos and, have our little families over here all across the United States. And when it comes time to bury someone, we're trying to start GoFundMes and, really having to figure out like the basics of how to function as a family. So my grandma has inspired a journey for me just to, for one, my little family to just build a strong fundamental framework. And then for our macro family, like we meet 3 times a week. We do leadership training. We do a family vacation every single year. On our leadership training, like we're going through the fundamentals of how to communicate, how to build your credit. It's so much. Like it's literally we're being taught how to be leaders in our family. And so I just take that responsibility again because I haven't seen a Black family do that, right? Like it's mostly like when we come together, we're watching sports, but now we're starting to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's just like, okay, we do got to talk about politics. How y'all feel about it? Okay. Right. Everyone's struggling to pay their mortgage. What we going to do about it? Should we start a family trust? Should we invest together? And so kind of like just beginning to scratch the surface of things that we see our other culture counterparts do in huge numbers and are now scaling together with family offices. We're just doing the ABCs of, but finding freedom in those fundamentals. So it's working and I want to continue to explore it.
I actually have a selfish question. So my family, we're both Nigerian, but like my family, my dad's side of the family, we all meet once a year for a family reunion in summer. And right now, like we're working on like everybody getting life insurance policies, which I think is great. Well,
Yeah.
I have had thoughts about, to like financial literacy. I mean, a lot of my family members, I wouldn't say they necessarily need literacy, but they do need to invest, a lot more aggressively.
Right.
So are you bringing in third parties to teach these lessons, or are you like, is it some kind of like course that you guys can all run through together? How's that working?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so this is definitely my big cousins. So every week it'll probably be 80 of us on a call. And so they just rotate. So we have like a leader group of 6. So some people will be financial literacy, some people will be life insurance, some people will be communication, some people will be spiritual. But yeah, they'll just rotate and then we'll have slideshows and then they'll just teach us for an hour on Wednesday, Bible study on Tuesday, King's Tribe on Thursday, which is really cool because all of the men get together and grow, right? Like it's beautiful to see. And then on Saturday, everybody comes together for the family call to like review the curriculum that we learned. But yeah, they just rotate. But I feel like it's
I
so
know.
Well, I like
beneficial
that.
I love
because,
this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is so cool.
yeah, it's really
Definitely.
beneficial. You so should.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. I'm definitely encouraged to, try to influence in that way because, yeah, like you said, if everybody takes part of the work, it's not too much for any one person, but then, everybody in the family gets to learn and grow from it.
Right. The
Yeah,
question for
many
you,
hands make light work.
Right,
there you
right.
go. And the question for you as well, like as far as, so everybody just makes time for this. Everybody just, pretty much budgets, takes a budget and plans their time accordingly to meet for this. And also, how does this work with all of the different personalities in your family? Because sometimes there's certain personalities in your family it's just a
Okay.
little different. So how does that work for you?
I have to take a deep breath on that one just because we have so much talent in our family, like so much talent. Like in my family, we've had 16 men go to the NFL, right? And so it's like that's like a huge number, right? And
Yeah.
so like there's so much talent. And out of our family, remember, my grandmother is the oldest girl of 11. So out of just that section, there's 100 grandkids out of
Yeah.
just that one little great grandmother. Now, the family I'm talking about is my great grandmother's family. So like we're talking second, third cousins. However, we're getting back to our roots of like we're a tribe. Like we come from the same people. Like y'all, they tried to split us up, give us all these different ass last names from our masters and got us all confused, but we're actually one tribe. So it should be 1,000 of us, you guys, but it's only 100. If it were 1,000 of us, we could really, really work because the talent is there. Everyone, so many of them have degrees. So many of them own their houses. So many of them have figured out how to sustain their family, but haven't passed that information on to their cousin, their uncle, their brother, right? So it's all these silos of success just functioning and doing okay. Sometimes we go through struggles, sometimes we win. It should be 1,000 of us, but it's 100. And out of that 100, there's only 15 leaders. And so, as you know, 20% of people do the work of the 80. And we lift. The 15 of us do carry the lift. And then we have been doing this for 6 years. So I feel like, to be honest, we've been moving really slow. Like I'm ready to go, but a lot of my elders are like, no, we're right on pace. Look at how we're learning. We're catching everybody up. Now we're getting life insurance. Everybody's credit's improving. And I'm like, come on, let's go. But, you know, it's methodical and we're seeing the progress. And altogether, we've probably had 500, but we've lost 4. We've
Mm.
lost 400 already just because people don't invest the time, right? So we've been doing this for 6 years, so we've seen the full cycle now. We've seen everyone's excited to join together as cousins and
Yeah.
figure it out, and they leave. So
Yeah. Starts
it's the
off
real,
real hot and then it dwindles
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we just got a few more questions for you before we let you go. A few things I want to ask you. So what's been the biggest and unexpected challenge that you faced, in first purchasing the ranch and then also as your day-to-day operations, and then also trying to produce a cash flowing machine?
My gosh. I think one of the most hardest lessons is like, this really is a gift, a huge responsibility. However, it was a responsibility given to me, where a lot of times, like, I try to share that responsibility, like, with as many people as I can, because I would love to share in the abundance as well, right? Like, we have a lot of abundance, but we have a lot of things that we have to solve for. So the biggest lesson was like, holy shit, this is really on me.
Yeah.
Like, if this falls apart, it's on me, and my family's still gonna be there like, you got it, right? Or if it's successful, same thing. They go on the sidelines, like, really clapping, like, you got it, right?
Right.
And so just really, really getting humble to know that at this point, developing a team is the most important thing. And like shifting my energy to know that like it's impossible to do by myself. So therefore I have to attract a team. And with that, like I have a to-do list that's 4 pages long that I execute day in, day out, and it just keeps growing. I feel like it never ends. And just, it never ends. And when I get close to the ending, something crazy is going to happen where now I have 15 things to add.
Right.
And just being okay with that and knowing that it's a worthy process, it's a worthy journey, and it's a loop. It's a loop, but we see progress. We see progress in the loop. And then definitely attracting the team. And then the last is that it was what do we do here? What was the last part of the question?
Just pretty much just the challenges the most unexpected challenges you face, like pretty much in the whole journey.
Just how much work goes into maintaining a water well. Like it's so much work, like how expensive each filter is and how expensive each pump is. And that's been the most expensive, unexpected expense. We could have literally bought a whole house, how much we've invested into purifying this water out here in Rosamond, California. And I did not budget for that. I did not plan for it. And so like that itself has been a huge struggle to overcome. And it's really humbling, right? Because I've been out here 10 days without water in 115-degree weather. And it's like, wow. And it's like, okay, I won't get water back until I fix it or until I hire the guy to fix it.
It's all on you.
Like I'm really a manager right now, So it's like you have to manage your property the right way if you want to take a shower.
Right.
For the basics.
I have one question for you. Let's say you get an opportunity or you had an opportunity to talk to your future self, right? Prior to you purchasing the land, what advice would you give? What advice would you give? I guess not your future self, it would be your past self.
Yeah, to your past self.
That's what I meant. So so let me rephrase that. So you get a chance to give some advice to your past self prior to you purchasing the land. What would you go back and tell yourself prior to doing so?
Prior to buying it, right? It would be document everything. Like there's an SOP in everything that you're doing. You should be documenting everything. Like there's processes that may not make sense right now that you're going to need in a year from now that you don't want to have to relearn. So if you're going to go on this journey and you're going to start exploring and problem solving at a massive level and figure out how to bring value, like document that journey and document that process as much as humanly possible and keep it organized. So when that shit turns back around in 3 months, you can go back to how to problem solve through that steps.
Perfect.
Cool. So then what do you see as the vision for your ranch in the next 5-10 years?
I definitely see it as being like a full functioning, sustainable family compound with 7 houses, a full functioning creative complex, event venue, full functioning garden, a couple of animals, completely running off of solar and our own infrastructure. So being self-sufficient. I do see us at over $1 million valuation, which then will give us the opportunity to, go and hedge and play in other areas of real estate, which I'm really excited about. In 10 years, I would definitely have the plan and intention to be submitting for a master plan development where we'll be bringing in roads. We have gotten a site plan for 40 duplexes because that's what we're currently zoned to be able to do. So whatever the highest and best use after we've gotten 5 years of just functioning and sustaining as a family compound to then start attacking that master plan.
That's awesome.
I like that.
Yeah, that's
Then,
great.
if someone were listening to this right now and they want to contribute, what ways can they find a way to help?
I always say, like, if you ever wanted to come volunteer a day,
I mean, I might do that because I found out you're in Rosemont. I mean, I live in LA, but we shoot in Palmdale. We're both here. We're both from Palmdale here. So you're not
that's
that far
crazy.
away. So I do want to check out the ranch at some point.
Yeah, you guys come on. We'll have a end in a bonfire, and I always say I can pay in flour, cannabis flour. No, the best way would definitely be I always say you could just definitely support our boutique store. We started to grow lavender and chamomile here on the ranch. That also goes into our products in our store, and really hoping to take this wellness to the next level. Again, my mother is healing here, and we're hoping that the next tiny homes to come will offer up more housing for people who just need nature and space where they can explore and heal. And yeah.
Oh, and the store, is it brick and mortar or is it
Yeah.
online?
Yeah, well, it's online, evolutionofhealing.com.
All right, cool.
And then we are brick and mortar right outside of Palmdale. So
Oh, really? I didn't know you had a store, a physical store.
yeah, we do.
Yeah, okay,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Got to check that out
And
too.
then any of your ats that people can follow you?
Yes, at Mariah Aleah, my main thing.
And Mariah,
Main IG.
we'll have that in the show notes.
Okay, perfect. And then last thing, this is absolutely the last question. And this might be putting you on the spot. I don't know if AD warned you about this or not.
I actually forgot to on the spot.
So we have one thing, we have a B for the day, right? And just in short, it's something that you have to be in order to be successful, right? So for example, one of them was like, be patient, because, the real estate market is shaky and you need to make sure that you're patient enough to advance in that. Based on this conversation and what we've talked about today, what would your B for today be?
Be relentless.
Don't think we've had that one.
I don't think so.
Yeah, be relentless. And then can you expand on that a little bit?
If you want something bad enough, you absolutely can have it. Whatever the mind of man believes he can achieve. It is just about being relentless and having the desire to make it happen. Like, we really are magical beings, and if you pursue it to the end, it will be yours. So just make sure whatever you're pursuing is really aligned, God's plan, your heart, and that relentless pursuit will end in your desires.
Man,
I like
I heard the girl. She said, be relentless, be you, and be uncommon. Again, thanks for joining
Period.
us, Mariah. Until next time.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.